How do you feel about sponsored product campaigns? They are the foundation of Amazon PPC. Are you ready to learn more about how to set them up and what they can do for your Amazon business? Welcome to AMZ Unlocked. I am Kimberly Locke, and this is the place where you can get inspired, empowered, and get education on all things Amazon. And today we're going to be talking about sponsored product campaigns in Amazon PPC. So with a sponsored product campaign, you're able to target either keywords or products, and you can do either automatic targeting or manual targeting. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of different ways you could combine this together. So we are going to dive in for a live demo, and I'm going to take you through into Campaign Manager and show you how I set up my own sponsored product campaigns, and hopefully demystify some of the combinations and how you can put it all together to get the most effective ad campaign. So before we do that, just a little bit of a refresher. So your sponsored product campaigns, those are going to be the foundation of your Amazon PPC. If you're not running anything else, you should be running some sponsored product ads, and you should pretty much have them going all the time unless you're out of stock. So these campaigns at their core are meant to drive sales, but they do other things as well. When you're launching, you want to make sure you're launching some exact match campaigns so you can teach Amazon exactly what your product is. You do this with exact match keywords, and you can also do this with some really creative ASIN targeting. So if there's another product out there that's very much the same as yours, even though yours is going to be differentiated because you've listened to my lessons about that, then you can target that product. So if you're selling ladies golf club sets, then you would find another set of well-performing, top-selling ladies golf clubs and target that ASIN to help not only show your product as an alternative, but to teach Amazon what your product is. So without further ado, let's dive into the computer, and I will take you to Campaign Manager, and we will go through the different parts of setting up a sponsored product campaign. So when you go to your Amazon Campaign Manager, you'll click on Create Campaign. And from there, you'll have the choice of 3 different types of campaigns. And today we're going to focus on the sponsored product campaign. And if you click here, it'll show you the highlights. You can either choose to automatically find keywords, or you can target keywords and products. And of course, you can track your ad spend or your ROAS. So we'll click Continue to get started. Now, when it comes to ad groups, I don't bother with creating multiple ad groups. It just dilutes the campaign strength, and I stick to just one ad group. So I don't really even bother with naming the ad group anymore because it's not going to be unique within the campaign. It's going to be one campaign, one ad group, and away we go. Now, from here, you've got your products list. Now you can't see my products because these are actually my products. So you would have your products, and you would be able to click add on whichever one you want. Now you can technically add more than one product to a campaign. That is not the smartest way to go. The way I do it is to add one product to one campaign. So each campaign, one product, one ad group, and a select set of keywords if I'm using manual targeting. So we'll pick one product and add it to the campaign, and then we'll scroll down, and you've got now your choice of automatic or manual targeting. With automatic targeting, Amazon is going to pick the keywords that your ads are going to be served to. Now, this is a great way to find new keywords that you haven't thought of previously, because it will show you exactly what the customers are searching for, and it gives Amazon that freedom to pick and put the keywords in place. But this is not a great strategy when you're first launching, because as I've said before, when you launch a new product, you have to teach Amazon what your product is. You have to teach the algorithm. And if you let loose with an automatic campaign before you've done that, then you could be wasting a lot of money on ads that are not relevant to your product if Amazon doesn't understand what your product is. So for launching, I'm always going to start with a manual targeting. Now, when you target manually, you can either choose keywords or product specific or categories. So let's take a look at each of these, and then we'll go back to the automatic targeting and have a look at how that plays out. So with your manual keyword targeting, you're going to enter a list, or you can choose from the suggested list of keywords that Amazon gives you once you've selected this and you have your product in place. Now you can choose suggested bid or a custom bid or a default bid. Now I always just default and go with suggested bid because I can always go in and change the bids later. Now for each campaign, I'm only going to choose one match type. You can see here that you can choose broad, phrase, and exact, but I wouldn't do that. I would pick one match type per campaign. So if I wanted to take my one product and I wanted to do a campaign for broad, a campaign for phrase, and a campaign for exact, those would all be distinct campaigns. They wouldn't even be separate ad groups. They would all be distinct campaigns. So we'll check with exact, and then we would enter our keywords here. Let's go back to suggested and just have a few pop up. So they'll pop up and they'll tell you the suggested bid, and you can add one or add all. And as you can see here, you've got all of these boxes with the suggested bid for each keyword, and you can go and change any of those you like before you launch the campaign, or you can adjust them while the campaign is running. So we're going to stick with this. Now I would not use 57 keywords, so I'm going to remove all of these now. And I would actually pick just 5 to 8 at most, depending on the search volume. I don't use the suggested keywords. I always enter my own list because I've done my keyword research for this and I know what I want to target. So I would enter my own keywords and put in the bid. Now, if I'm launching and this is a brand new product, first campaign right off the bat, I would let it choose the suggested bids, and then I would increase all of them on my exact match campaign by 50%. That way I have the best chance of getting those ads to show and get my product in front of customers and start converting and getting some sales. And once that happens, then Amazon will start learning what my product is, and then I can come back and look at possibly some broad or automatic targeting. I would always start with the exact. I would add phrase and broad later, and I would automatic later after I've had some sales and Amazon understands what my product is. Now, I know we don't have any keywords here, so it's telling me I need to add at least one keyword, but I want to go through the rest of the components here. Now we've got negative keyword targeting. Now, when you're starting out, you may not need to add any negative keywords unless you're quite sure that there's something that you don't want to target. So for instance, if you're selling a premium product, say you're selling premium golf clubs, well, you wouldn't necessarily want your ad to show if someone has typed in cheap golf clubs. So you might choose cheap as a negative keyword target right off the bat. So you could choose either to negative exact or negative phrase. And if you're going that general with something like cheap, you want to keep that out, I would go ahead and just do negative phrase and make sure that it's not going to show anytime someone types in something close to my keywords with cheap. Okay, so looking at your campaign bidding strategy. Now it's very important to understand that your budget is controlled at the campaign level, which again is why I only have one ad group with a limited number of keywords in each campaign. I want each of those keywords to have an opportunity for the ad to be served and get a chance to use some of that budget. So I want to make sure I have a healthy budget, and I want to make sure I have a limited number of keywords. So each of the keywords gets a chance to use that budget. So looking at our bid strategy, when I'm launching a brand new product and a brand new campaign, I will go with fixed bids. That way, I've put those bids at 50% above the suggested, and I want to make sure that that's the bid that goes and it stays. And that way I have the highest chance of getting those ads served right off the bat. Once I start getting some sales and some conversions and my click-throughs going well, then I'll come back and I'll move it to a dynamic bids down only. So that means that the bids will be lowered in real time when your ad may be less likely to convert a sale. Now, that can help save you a little bit of money on your bids. You might want to do dynamic up and down. Honestly, I've never used dynamic up and down. I either used fixed bids or dynamic bids only. And then if I want to have a little bit more control, I'll go in and I'll adjust the bids by placement. So I can determine that I want to have my ads have a higher chance of being top of search or on a product page. So I might put 100% for my top of search. And that means that a bid that's 51 cents could go up to $1.02 to get top of search placement. And depending if I'm using dynamic bidding, it could increase up to $2.04. So that's where you have to get kind of really in depth and know what you're wanting to do and what you're wanting to spend. So if I'm sticking it at fixed bids, it's only going to do 102. Dynamic down, it's only going to max at 102. But if I'm doing up and down, it could go up to 204. Now, a lot of different people will recommend different campaign naming strategies. I have one that I like to use and I'll share it with you, but you do this because when you have multiple products and multiple campaigns for each of those products going, you want to be able to at a glance see exactly what the campaign is so you can get in and work on it easily. So I will typically start with my product ID. So in this example, if I'm selling premium golf clubs, I will start with golf clubs. Now, if I have multiple sets of golf clubs, I might say something particular about them. I might have men's or I might have ladies' golf clubs. I would designate so at a glance I can tell exactly which product out of my catalog that is. Then I would use the ad type, and this is a sponsored product campaign. And even though you can see that in Campaign Manager, you might want to get rid of that column and just have it in your campaign name and make your display on Campaign Manager a little bit tighter. So if you put this in, you can at a glance see exactly which it is. So this is a sponsored product campaign. Then I'm going to include my match type. So that would be exact. Whoops, if I could spell it would be helpful. So that will be exact for this campaign. And then the purpose. So is the purpose of this campaign, is it a branded campaign? Do I have branded search terms in it? Then I would label it branded. For this, I'm trying to rank. So I'm going to call it ranking. And then the next, I might put my keyword source. So where did I get my keywords from? Did they come from an auto campaign? Did they come from my ZonGuru? So I would put ZG for ZonGuru. If they came from an auto campaign or broader phrase campaigns, I could label it with that. Now, your portfolio, you definitely want to have one portfolio per product. That makes it much easier on your Campaign Manager to sort. So you can sort by portfolio. And if your portfolio is just one product, then that's all you're going to see are the campaigns for that. So you would select your portfolio from there, which you would have already created, and then your start date and your end date. I typically don't put an end date. If I want to stop a campaign, I'll pause it, but I won't have it automatically stop within Amazon. I control that at the Campaign Manager level. And then the next, I would set my daily budget, minimum of $10. Depending on how many campaigns, but you want to, especially if you're launching, you want to give it a really healthy budget. So I would say $30, $40, maybe even $100, depending on how many campaigns you're going to be running. So I'm going to start with $25, and then we would launch the campaign. Now let's go back and take a look at the auto campaigns. Before we move on to auto campaigns, let's take a look at product targeting. So within manual targeting, you can select product targeting instead of keyword targeting. And this again would be a completely separate campaign that's doing this type of targeting. And within it, again, you're only going to pick a certain number of ASINs that you would target, or a certain number of categories that you would target. For categories, I would only pick 1 or 2, but for products, again, 5 to 8, depending on what you are trying to accomplish. And I would always make sure that my own ASIN is included in that list. Remember, that's a tip that I've given you in a previous video. You want to make sure that when you're using product targeting, that you are targeting your own ASIN. Not only does that drive more awareness and make the customer feel more secure when they see the ad again on your own product page, but it will also take the spot away from a competitor. So that's very powerful. Now, let's take a look at automatic targeting. So within the automatic targeting, you have the choice of either doing your targeting just by the default bid, or you can set your bids by targeting group. Now I'm going to pick targeting group, and I'm only going to pick 1 match type per campaign. So if I want to have automatic campaigns for close, loose, substitutes, and complements, that's going to be 4 different campaigns, each with their own bid and their own budget. So I would only pick 1, and that's it. That's all I would do. And I'm going to ignore the warning. I'm going to stick with this. It's just going to make it a lot neater and tighter, and I can control the spend a lot easier. And the rest of it is pretty much the same. If there's any negative keywords you want to put in, this would be the place to do it. And when you're launching your automatic targeting campaign, I would definitely start out with some negative keyword targeting. I would put in all of the exact match or broaden phrase match keywords that I already have running in campaigns. I don't want them being served twice, because I want my automatic campaign to find me new keywords. So you have the choice of negative exact or negative phrase. You don't have the choice of negative broad, because broad match is so broad, as the name suggests, that it's not really going to have an impact. So yeah, I would definitely put in some negative exact and negative phrase for some of the keywords that I already have running in campaigns. If I have product targeting campaigns going, I would make sure that I add those ASINs to negative product targeting within my auto campaign to make sure that they're not getting bid on twice. And again, you have your same bidding strategy options, same product placement options, and the same thing. I would just change this from exact to auto. Actually, I would go, here we go, auto. And then this one was what I picked. I picked complement. Yep, complements. And it's not a ranking campaign, and I wouldn't have a list of keywords. So just auto complements. And there you go. So there you go. Not very complicated, and I hope that has been really helpful in showing you how I set up my sponsored product campaigns, so you're ready to get started launching your own sponsored product campaigns. Make sure you hit the like button, and don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified of upcoming videos like this one.